The meaning of starvation is a severe deficiency in caloric energy intake below the level needed to maintain an organism's life. I'll break down the definition for you. Deficiency meaning a lack of shortage. I can't keep nothing stored if I have nothing for it to be stored with. Caloric means the amount of calorie intake. You need food to intake calories, and you need food to live. I didn't have much food growing up. In my childhood, I remember being hungry. In the past, wearing the same clothes every day was normal for me. Now, I'm going to tell you about my life and how starvation can turn a child into a savage. Living in poverty isn't a normal way of life. A lot of crimes happen in poverty because people have less than rich people who don't want for nothing. When you're going to bed with your belly full of steak and potatoes, wearing Gucci and Ivan Romance clothing, laying on a king-size bed under air conditioning so you won't wake up with night sweats. Also, your house is big, so you don't have to kill for a meal. People love to judge from the outside on how people live. They tend to blame them for their living conditions, but never blame the government. They never blame the politicians that's stealing dollars from people to buy fancy suits, eat and drink the best foods, and live in nice homes. While people like myself sleep on floors and eat trash. I was born into poverty, but I will die into riches. I'll be telling you my life story while in a back seat of a police car, on my way to jail for trying to ship 16.9 tons of cocaine to Tokyo, Japan. Altogether, it was a $4.3 billion deal. You might ask yourself, where did all that cocaine come from? Easy, it came from Colombia. Colombia is well known for having the purest cocaine. It does most of the distribution all over the world, 99.7% of it. I have purest coke in the world, and you might ask how my cocaine is so pure. A lot of cocaine you see in the streets are about 57 to 75% purity because it's been stepped on for an average of 2 times. Also, it's been watered down, meaning a dealer added another substance to keep more of the cocaine. Often, dealers may add powdered milk so they can sell more of the cocaine. I know everything about cocaine because I can cook it the best. A recipe for disaster, some might say. I have 2 sets of families in Colombia that want me behind bars for life or dead because I am a threat to them. The first family is the Lopez family. They handle the cocaine on the south of Colombia. They live in Pasto. The Lopez family is ran by Emmanuel Lopez. He's about 5 feet 8 inches tall, heavy-set with long, dark hair. He controls the distribution. He hates me because my cocaine is purer than his 89%. Also, I had a threesome with his twin sisters. The other family is the Cruz family. They are from central Colombia, a city called Bogotá. The family is run by an older woman named Isabella, aka Miss Bella. She was married until she caught her husband cheating on her with her cousin. After that, she killed him. Rumor is, she chopped their heads off and kept them in glass jars filled with water on top of her desk. It'll give people a sign not to betray her. She doesn't care for me either because I'm young and rich, with a lot of power. She wants to learn my operation, but she can't run my operation like me. That $1.4 billion cocaine deal was just a tip of the iceberg. I have the world in my hands. I have so much money. I make millions in minutes. Well, let me give you more information about my life. My name is Ace Gomez. I was born and raised in the poorest city in Colombia, a city named Quibdó. I lived right outside of the city in a village. I didn't have much growing up. I was raised by a single mom. My father abandoned us. He has a family and owns a fishing business. He saw my mom outside of the market buying food and fell in love with her beauty. My mom was only 18 and he was 30 years old. She didn't know better. He just wanted sex. But my mom wanted love. Once she got pregnant, he told her he was married with kids and didn't want nothing to do with us. My my father got killed before I was born. Her father was in the streets stealing to survive. He tried to steal a car but got shot in the head before he could even drive off. My grandma helped raise me, and my village helped too. When they say it takes a village to raise a child, they were talking about me and the other kids I knew. Everyone was living in poverty. I grew up in a broken-down shack. Our roof was made of old sheet metal, and the foundation was very weak. We had no plumbing available, so we had to use the bathroom outside. I would wear the same clothes. Sometimes my mom would find shoes and clothes in the trash. The city would bring them to me. My mom wasn't highly educated, neither was my grandmother. They made money by walking to the dump and looking through the trash. They were looking for cans and plastic they could recycle. I would help sometimes as well. The people in my village did this so they could survive. The sad thing is we didn't make $2 a day doing this. There were times when we would find old canned goods that had already been opened, or old taquito stores would throw away. The food that was left for stray dogs and flies were getting ate by us. Other times I would eat would be at school or the community center that was for feeding kids. It was built close to our village. Sad thing was our government didn't build it. The Sebastian family did. The Sebastian family handles the cocaine distribution in North Colombia. They gave back to the poor. They were from Quibdó. The person who ran the family was Tony Sebastian. He was an Afro-Latino with long hair. He dressed very well. The women loved him and called him beautiful. They would say things like, "I wish I could wash his hair for him butt naked. I want to pull his hair while he pulls mine." At a young age, I didn't know what they were talking about. I knew women loved him, but I also knew he was special and important. He was tall and slim. Tony always had men with guns around him. The community feared him. He was respected more than the mayor himself because he was a gangster with power. I remember the first time I saw Tony Sebastian. It was recess. We were outside playing soccer with a new soccer ball. I saw something I've never seen before. We usually played with rags that rolled together, homemade with tree syrup. But Tony brought new soccer balls for us. I remember when everyone was playing, I looked outside the fence, then I saw him. He was wearing all white. His gator boots, pants, and Ivan Romance polo was white. For jewelry, he was wearing a gold watch and a diamond ring. He was getting into a white Porsche. I've never seen a man look so clean and well-dressed in my life. He came to the community center frequently to make sure everything was getting taken care of. He also wanted to make sure the kids were getting plenty of food to eat. He helped the community the best he could. Also, he was a wanted man, but I knew I wanted to be him when I grew up. I knew I wanted to be rich. I was born into poverty. Sleeping on cots, bugs and mice were in and out of the shack I lived in. For water, my mother had to travel to the lake. The water was heated up and used to bathe in. Also, we had to use the same soap. This life was normal to me, but when I saw Tony Sebastian, I knew I wanted that life. I was 9 years old when I saw him, but that same day, an old man saw me looking at him. I've seen him before in the village. He didn't talk to anyone. He looked at me, then walked away. I watched Tony Sebastian drive off. My life had changed after that. I went home, told my mom and grandma what I saw. I was very excited because I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. My mom looked at me crazy and said, "No, you don't need to be him. He's a drug dealer. You can be a fruit man. Sell fruits in the city, or maybe learn how to fix cars. Just don't be a drug dealer. Yes, he gives back to the community, but that type of lifestyle comes with a lot of pain. Don't let the shiny things fool you. That man sleeps with one eye open and constantly worries about being killed by his enemies or being taken by the feds. It's no peace in that lifestyle," she said while holding my hand and looking at me in my eyes. I can't blame my mom for being a mother. She only knew poverty her whole life. She was beautiful without an education, but everything she told me wasn't helpful at all. The fruit man wasn't buying the best clothes and driving a Porsche. The mechanic wasn't either. They looked like regular people. They looked like they were just getting by. My mind was already made up at that point. Then, my grandmother was looking at me. Once, my mom went outside. My grandma said to me, "You want to be like Tony Sebastian then, you need to be smarter than Tony Sebastian." I know everything your mom said didn't matter. I can tell right now you have your mind made up. I don't blame you for wanting to be rich someday. She said it's no peace in that lifestyle, but it's no peace in this lifestyle either. Ace, you're a very smart kid. You're different from the other kids in this village. I've been here my whole life. Same with my parents and their parents. Some of these people been here their whole life, just like me. I want better for you. Here, follow me. I'm going to introduce you to a man who can help you with your dreams, Grandma said. I followed her as we walked down the road to a shack with chickens in the front. "Samuel, are you there?" my grandma said, while kicking a chicken away from her foot. "Yes, I'm right here," he said while standing behind us. Once we looked, I realized it was the same old man I saw looking at me at the community center. "Samuel, you still look the same after all these years. I see you have some gray hair now. I remember when you had long black hair," my grandma said while looking at him. "I remember when you had long black hair too. But you're still beautiful after all these years," Samuel said while smiling. "Still a smooth talker, I see. Well, I came over here to introduce you to my grandson. He said he wants to be like Tony, and he has the smarts to be like him, if not better," my grandma said while looking at Samuel with a certain face. "Yeah, I seen him earlier, watching Tony leave the community center. I know why you came over here. I watched over him, but are you sure you want your grandson to have such a lifestyle?" Samuel asked my grandma. "Yes, I don't want him in this village forever. I want him to experience the world. I want better for him," my grandma said while looking at me. "What about his mother? I'm pretty sure she wants him to live a life here like the rest of us," Samuel said, while looking at me with a worried face. "Yeah, she wants him to be a fruit man. Ace has his mind made up. I know he's just a boy, but with the right guidance, he can become special. Maybe save us and feed the whole village the right way. We know our government doesn't care about us, and Tony can only do so much. But with the right training, my grandson can be something special," my grandma said with confidence. "All right, I'll watch over him and teach him how to survive this system the right way. Here, leave us to be so. I can talk to the young man," Samuel said. My grandma hugged me and told me to listen to whatever he says with tears in her eyes. The tears I saw in her eyes was tears of pain, like she had no choice but to bring me over to Samuel. I told her I loved her, and I said I will not let her down. "Good, I'll let your mom know that you're helping Samuel feed his chickens. But whatever you do, do not tell your mother what goes on around here or what y'all may talk about. Don't even tell me. If she finds out, you will never be like Tony, and you will be in this village forever. So promise me you will keep this between us," my grandma said while looking down on me. "Yes, I understand, and I promise," I said while giving her a hug. Then, my grandma walked home. It was just me and Samuel. "You hungry? I have some chicharron made with rice, cornbread with some fresh mango juice." "I know you're hungry because you're a kid. Kids are always hungry," Samuel said while walking inside his shed. I followed him inside, and he had a lot of books. I saw his bed and a table. His place wasn't fancy at all. He was living in poverty just like the rest of us. I also saw the food on top of the table. He didn't have a stove, a lot of us don't, so I'm pretty sure he cooked the food outside with a black kettle pot over a fire. "Have a seat. I want to talk to you about life," Samuel said, while pulling the chair out for me. "So, what do you want to be when you grow up? I know you're just a kid, but what do you want in life?" Samuel said, while fixing me a plate. I looked around and said I want to be like Tony Sebastian. "I want a better life than this," I said proudly, but I noticed I might have offended him. "I'm not offended at all. Trust me, I want a better life as well. I will love a better life better than what I have. That's why my kids are living in America to have a way better life than me," Samuel said while eating. "You have kids in America? How is that?" I asked while eating. A story I will tell you when you're old enough to understand. So, you want to be like Tony, huh? Let me guess, you think he's a hero? Samuel said while looking at me while I began drinking the mango juice. Yes, he built our community center so we could eat better food and have a good education. Plus, he drives a nice car and dresses very nice, I said while eating with an exciting voice. Tony isn't helping the community like he's supposed to be. He built that community center to look like a hero. If he cared about his people, we would be living in a better situation. He's making millions off cocaine, but his people are hungry. One day, a person is going to take his place and take us to the promised land. That person can be you, Ace, Samuel said while looking at me. Me? But I want to be like Tony. I like Tony, I said while putting my food down. Be like Tony? I can show you how to be better than Tony. I can groom you to become a better businessman than Tony. Tony doesn't have the best education, but you will. Tony doesn't have the right ingredients to become so powerful the world will respect him. Tony is famous amongst us, but you can be famous amongst the world. Being a cocaine dealer is easy, but being a business-minded cocaine dealer is special. Especially if you know how to cook cocaine, so pure people will beg you to take their money. You said you want to be like Tony, but look around in this village. This is the same village Tony grew up in. Some of us are his own blood, but we are going to bed hungry while he's going to bed full. He has clean water and a nice roof over his head. He's selfish. Look at how your grandma and mother are living. No woman should live like that. I know you're young, and this life is all you know. Here, finish your food. I want to take you somewhere. After I finished eating, we got in his old pickup truck, and we drove out the village. I didn't know where we were going, but after a while of driving, I saw a big house with security outside. The house had to have been on a couple acres of land. Here, get out the truck. I want you to look at this house. Like really look at it, Samuel said while getting out the truck and closing the door. Whose house is this? I asked. While getting out the truck and looking amazed at how big the house was. It was white, and I saw a water fountain in front of the house. There was Jesus' statue inside the water fountain. I seen the white Porsche I saw before at the community center. This is Tony Estate. That big house is his and his close family's. Like his mother and 2 sisters. It has 8 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and 2 kitchens. The basement is big with wooded floors. It has a big swimming pool in the back. The house has 2 floors, and each room has a walk-in closet. The master bedroom is right there on the far right. This house been here for years. I look at Samuel and asked, "How do you know so much about this house?" While watching him stare at the house. It used to belong to Tony's father. His father, our other friends and I would come here as kids to look at this house for motivation. His father would say he would live here one day. I'll give his father credit. Once he wanted something, he got it. Samuel said while looking at the house. You knew Tony's father? I asked with a surprised face. Yes, I did. I knew Tony when he was just a baby boy at the village. His father got into the cocaine business and started doing well for himself too. I used to be a chemist for his father. The lead chemist too, Samuel said, while looking at me with a small smile. What's a chemist and what happened to his father? I asked. A chemist is a person engaged in chemical research or experiments. I was engaged in cocaine, so I cooked the recipe. You must be smart to cook very good cocaine. It's math involved. When his father passed away, I left the family. I knew I didn't want to work for Tony because he was very sloppy in business and didn't want to take advice from anyone. His father showed him the business the right way, but Tony just didn't want to listen. He has beef with different families in Colombia. The police don't like him. He doesn't have a lot of businesses to wash his money, plus a very poor attitude, and doesn't care for his people. At least his father would give his people food time by time. But even his father didn't do a great job at that, too. Sooner or later, Tony will end up dead or in prison, then someone else will have to take his place. Who's going to take his place? I asked while looking at the house. It will be you, Ace, if you listen to me. I can make sure you become the world's best cocaine dealer. Ace's operation will make $10 million a year if you follow my rules. Turn my rules into laws and you can be the first billionaire, if not more. I will groom you into something special, Samuel said while looking at me. A billionaire? That's a lot of money. But I have a question, Samuel, I asked while looking up at him. Yes, Samuel said while looking at me. What's cocaine? I asked with a confused look. I forget you're just a boy. Here, I'll show you what cocaine is tomorrow. But look at this house, then go home and look at yours. Ask yourself, do you want better? Do you want to give your grandma and mom better? If so, come back to my home tomorrow and I will put you through Cocaine University, Samuel said while getting back in the truck. I got back in his truck and he dropped me off at home. I saw my mom and grandma outside of our shed talking. Who was that in that truck and where were you? My mom asked with a worried look. He was with Samuel, an old friend of mine's. He used to be a teacher in Kibdo. Ace wanted to work on his reading because one day he wants to go to college in America. My grandma said while giving me a wink. Yeah, Mama, I want to go to a college in America one day, I said while trying to sound believable. Wow, my son is thinking about going to college in America? That would be amazing. Keep on working on your education. You'll make it far in life, my mom said with a smile while giving me a hug and kiss on the face. My grandma and I looked at each other knowing we both have a secret we can't tell my mom. Later, I went to bed and started thinking about what Samuel was telling me. I started thinking about that big house Tony has and how my family and I stay in this broken-down shed with no air condition. I looked at them and said to myself, I will be